Oh, yeah.
Speak.
Welcome back to another episode of Triggered. I'm Jared Bosch.
I'm Jeremy Silver.
It's been a week. We're too honest with each other and the people we're going to talk to. I didn't need to tell you it's been a week, but we got in here and we're ready to go. Jeremy, the plan was to always talk about something new, but I actually want to dip back into that last episode because we did get a few comments. We got some people. You reached out to a couple people. We got some comments happening, and I'm going to the Smart or the Strong Town meeting next week. I'm going to attend. It's on the 17th because apparently I have no idea what strong towns are all about.
Right, that was Kelly Allard. Yes.
Yes. Thank you, Kelly. I guess we'll see you there. Okay, I'm going to jump right into this though.
Okay.
I'm learning more from doing this in just the little bit of time we've created, and we're putting our efforts into it here. You said something during the last podcast that I've actually taken very personal since watching it a few times. And then I saw a post on social media that correlates with this. So my mind is spinning. So what am I trying to say? In the last video we did, you said some of the angriest people tend to yell the most. You've told me this in life too. This is one of your theories. You know, you don't take too much seriously on social media because the keyboard warriors are there.
Right.
And they don't accomplish anything. And sometimes I feel like you're talking to me, and my answer has always been, I don't care, it's important.
Okay. Yeah, and the happy people aren't the ones complaining. Why would they complain about they're happy?
Right. So I got two kind of interesting questions for you.
Okay.
I've developed a little bit of an apathy for life again, and it's bothering me. I don't want an apathy for life. Before I was married, I had an apathy for life. I was just kind of skipping through, happy-go-lucky guy, didn't worry about reality. Then I meet the woman of my dreams, and we don't care about reality, but we spend it in our own reality together. And now she's passed, and I struggle, and the world seemingly at times is going crazy all around us. Except for what you're talking about. What I'm trying to say is, what do you decide to care about and yell about? Because when you say that comment that the angriest people are the loudest, you make me feel like maybe I'm paying attention to a bunch of stuff I shouldn't care about. So let me feed you some more context to lead into this.
Right.
So we do that podcast. We get a few comments. And I'm scrolling social media, and a gentleman, if he sees this, he can speak out. I'm not going to name any names right now, though. On his wall, he had put a video of a gentleman saying that we have to stop what's happening in our schools. We have to draw lines. There's realities. Another person commented on his wall saying, "Why do you care? Like, why are you posting this?" And the gentleman explained that he has a daughter, and it's relevant to him, a daughter in school.
Right.
And the person pushed him a little bit more to say, well, why can't we let all this be peaceful and blah, blah, blah.
Oh, this is the thread you sent me a screenshot of.
Okay, so I'm going to give and I'm going to give you credit for it because this is what leads me to ask you this question.
Okay.
I said I wanted the next podcast to be about lying.
Right.
Whether it's right or wrong to lie. And this all ties in. That's why I'm bringing it up. And I think we'll kill a good 45 minutes to an hour just talking about this because this is where I want I know I talk a lot. I'm really looking for you. Yeah, thanks. Really looking, and you let me. So, so his next text back was that here in Medicine Hat at Crescent Heights High School, there's a student that identifies as a TV. And in the thread, he's frustrated because he says the teachers are forced. I believe those are the words he used. The teachers are forced to go along with this. Now, it triggered me. It did. It triggered me. I'm like, what?
Am I allowed to use my jokes again? Or?
That's actually why I'm bringing this up. Okay. Absolutely. I'm going to bring you. You're going to get credit for your jokes.
I found that way too amusing.
Okay, this is the honest truth. This is why I'm bringing this up. So I text Jeremy a screenshot of the conversation. And Jeremy fires back, "Oh, wow. What did you put? Is he 4K or Ultra? Does he which is he?" And then I was like,
I asked if he identified as high definition or 4K.
Right. Okay. Yuck it up.
I'm sorry.
No, here's the thing.
No offense to the parents.
No,
I'm
no
sorry.
offense to anybody. I'm laughing. You were funny. How did you follow it up? You asked, you're like, what? I'm not funny. Like you were annoyed that I didn't laugh out loud or anything like that. I think, right?
Yeah.
And then you're like, what? I'm not funny. And I'm like, yeah, and I'm like, shake my head though, because I'm like, Jeremy, this is serious. What's your response? And what did you fire back again? You put, the only way it could be better or funnier is if his first name was Philip. Look at you, you're just loving every minute of this. His first name was
Philip and his last name Magnavox. Yeah. I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry.
It was so funny.
It is funny.
Who identifies as a TV? I mean, come on.
Okay, so
there's got to be some sort of deficit here or something, right? It's
deficit?
Not. Yeah, some sort of deficit or emotional.
We don't know the context.
Developmental issue.
We don't know the context.
I hope there would be.
Okay, but see, now here's the thing to me. I don't think any teacher should have to patronize any student of any age in school around their fellow classmates pretending to be a TV. If this is serious, I don't understand it. And again, if they got to call the ambulance for this student for something, it won't be a TV they're talking to. They're not going to listen to somebody trying to say, "Oh, it's my channels," or like just if we dive into the reality of the context, it's silly.
It is.
But, okay, so you laughing is almost triggering me. But here's my question. Here's my ultimate question, especially from somebody who says it's okay to tell lies. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. If I'm that distracted person, sometimes angrily yelling and being a keyboard warrior because I've picked one issue or another,
yeah,
and you're like, hey, you're one of those people yelling and screaming because you're not happy. What do I pay attention to? What should I have apathy for? Should this gentleman be concerned that a child... To stack it up a little bit, I know another very close friend, not going to name him. He's very close to both of us. He's pulled his children from the public school system. The pride parades are enough. He's afraid to let his kids look at Facebook. He's discovered, and this is an adult subject, an adult channel, this podcast. We're going to talk about things. You can find soft porn on Facebook now in the live feeds. I've seen parents saying on Facebook that they don't want their children to have cell phones anymore. And I saw an answer to that statement that, and by a local gentleman who said that he's afraid not even to give his kids cell phones because now you get bullied. If you don't have cell phones, you don't keep up with everything happening to be cool these days. You get bullied.
I mean, in all fairness, I think there's always been status symbols in schools.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it's just cell phones are the new status symbol. I remember when it was Adidas.
Oh, or Champion, you get beat up, and now it's the most popular brand on the face of the earth. How ironic.
Yeah.
Okay, so but back to this, Jeremy. So when he was questioned, this is what he said. He said, "Where's the reality here? Where do we draw a line? I'm teaching my kids one thing, and they go to school and they watch a student who's obviously smart. Takes some intellect to figure this stuff out." Yeah. So like I said, we don't understand the context. But I think even joking about it is too much. So here's what I'm trying to draw. Where do you find the line between what triggers you and you decide you're going to scream and shout? What makes you care about stuff? Or should we all just go with the flow? Let all this stuff happen. Where's the line? Like, why did we even start triggered? And now I'm going to be quiet.
Okay, well, first of all, I mean, it takes a lot to push me out of my center position that I see the world in, right?
One of the things I love about you, it drives me nuts. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I think yes, the angriest people always scream the loudest, and I will hold to that. But I really do feel that, you know, when I make that statement, it's not that I'm criticizing people for choosing a subject they're passionate about and fighting for it. I mean, I have done that. That's why I ran for council. That's why I took the position of the head of the downtown core for a few years, because I came in with these amazing, beautiful ideals of what could be created, and that was my way of fighting for it.
Sorry, keep going.
And you know, it's I don't look down on people for having that passion. what I find frustrating, and the reason I react like I do, is because of a quote that I heard the other day, which embodied kind of my perspective of the world, is if you look for the light, you will eventually and always find it. If you look for the dark, then that's all you will ever see. And I feel that, yes, our media and our government don't always come forward and go, look at the beautiful flowers. See these wonderful people. They did this. Oh, the world is such a beautiful place. So we can blame the media for fostering that behavior, or you can grow up and accept responsibility for how you see the world. And I don't like the constant negative mentality and only focusing on what's broken and things that need to be fixed in this world, because there will always be that.
Aren't you contradicting yourself a little? I was with you right until that. It's like you're saying you need to scream and shout, but do it the right way.
No, I'm not saying you need to scream and shout. I'm saying that generally the people I will make that comment to are the ones who consistently, every single time I hear them or see them, will have negative things to say and be on the next battle of some invisible enemy, or not invisible to them, but some enemy that they've decided is their enemy. And at what point do you sit back? And I'm directing this at everybody. I actually had a very long conversation with a lady who posted a picture. Well, actually, I'll talk about it after. I'm going to get scattered if I don't. At what point do any of you who constantly go online and say, the Nazis are coming, we're going to be, it's the Nazis all over again. I'm so sick and tired of hearing that crap come out of people's mouth. Are
you trying to say pick your battles?
I'm saying pick and choose your battles and don't fight everything. That's part of what I'm saying. But what the other point I'm trying to make is, at what point do the people who constantly scream and yell and say they're doing good in this world and they're making the better place and they're fighting for justice, at what point do you sit back and realize that you are the one spreading misery?
Okay.
Do any of you ever ask yourself that? At what point do you say, oh, I guess I'm the one turning people against other people? And I don't see that recognition from a lot of people. And I'm not actually talking about you, because you actually.
I take everything he's saying personally right now, and for a specific reason, because I know it. I know a few people who know me. I've got some interesting theories, and
he's a little quackers. Sorry,
somebody's quacking at me, but I thought I muted my phones. Okay, I'm gonna give you an example. There's a video online. If you guys, if people don't know, there's a gentleman. His name is Billboard Chris. Billboard Chris is an activist. He's against child puberty blockers. He doesn't feel children under the age of 18 are old enough to consent to all of these things that are happening right now. I tend to agree.
I agree.
I don't even want to get into the whole thing again. You got to be 18 to do a whole bunch of things, but you can change your whole gender identity and get reconstructive surgery that will change your life forever at 5 or 6 years old.
With their parents' permission.
Well, some it's with not, but like I said, I don't want to dive into this. See, this is what I mean. I take some of what you say seriously and to even heart, because listen, when my wife died, especially when COVID happened, I got stuck at home with everybody else looking at every conspiracy theory in the world. And some of them aren't conspiracy theories. Some of them are the truth. There's just a lot of misinformation out there. Now, I'm not going to go too complicated here. I've just always said what if in my life, and it's like we're not allowed to do that anymore. It's like we're living in a world that you were born, you were told what to believe, you were told what to think, you're sent to school. I do call it indoctrination. From 3 to 5 is when the child is the most curious, and what we're sent to kindergarten. And that's where it starts. Now, fast forward back to my point. This man, Billboard Chris, he stands there. You can find the clip. He gets attacked by a transgender person. Now, Chris is talking to somebody in an interview, and he always stands with his billboard that says children cannot consent to puberty blockers. That's why they call him Billboard Chris. And he's everywhere. He's all over Canada. He's all over the United States. And in this video, he is standing with his camera, because he always video records everything he's doing. And another journalist has a mic to him, and he is answering questions, and he is calm. He's talking just the way I'm talking right now, even more deadpan. And a transgender person is right here yelling, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. And Chris takes it for about 15 or 20 seconds. And then I can't tell what kind of happens because it's so quick. But Chris gets attacked. Now, I think the transgender person swearing at the top of lungs in his face lost patience that they weren't getting a reaction from Chris.
Possible. Yep.
And then what seems to happen is they either trip on each other, but somebody makes contact, and then it's an attack. And from what I understand, there were no charges. I don't even know what happened. So, in my mind, to understand what you're saying, Billboard Chris would be in the right. He's not yelling or screaming at anybody. He's standing with a sign, which is his rights, wherever he may be, for free speech. Well, we still have that, especially in Canada. I don't believe in hate speech. The freedom to hate is the greatest freedom we have. And before you hate me and I trigger all of you, I'm saying freedom of thought, freedom of speech, even to be hateful, is the greatest freedom. Now, I know in Canada we have hate speech. We can't be, the law shouldn't be against what we think. Law shouldn't even be against our actions unless they're illegal. And I can sit here and I can threaten Jeremy and say some very vile things about his religion. I can be very hateful, but unless Jeremy actually thinks his life is in danger, he has no reason to pay any attention to me. That's how that works. So I'm getting a little bit off of this, but that's what I'm trying to say to you. So you're saying the transgender that was in there yelling at the top of their lungs was looking for a fight.
Hey, absolutely.
They're angry.
Shame on that person.
Right.
The exact same way that I would criticize Chris if he was doing the same thing to a transgender person.
This guy, this big Billboard Chris.
Billboard Chris.
So you're saying, from what I've told you, this guy seems that he's picked a cause. He's following the laws. He's trying to talk to people.
Yeah.
He might trigger people, but that's why it's so volatile a situation or a subject.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're basically saying pick and choose your battles, and there's a right and a wrong way to fight. And
yeah, absolutely.
And you're trying to say a lot of people are
well
nothing
said.
but keyboard warriors sitting on there, ready to fight everybody. They're not listening to the answers; they're listening to reply.
Well, to a certain extent, I think you and I have discussed this years ago, and you do agree, whether you realize it or not, and I'll tell you why I think you agree. Because in the past, you have said to me, you hate how fake people are sometimes, and that they get online and they scream and they yell and they freak out and they rant, then you meet them face to face, they're like, hi, do you want to go for coffee?
Well,
And you've commented on that in the past too.
I don't think people treat me the same as in person as they do online.
Right.
Kelly, I've never met Kelly Allard. It should be very interesting at this meeting. Kelly, if you see this, if he tags you again or you're watching this, I don't want to debate in person. I want a camera on us if we debate. And
I know Kelly well enough to tell you that Kelly is one of those very rare people who is the exact same way in person as she is on her keyboard.
No, I disagree. Here's
that's
why
the impression I get from
I'm
Kelly.
going to disagree huge. You lose context on a keyboard. You lose tone on a keyboard. You don't see body language on a keyboard. You don't catch a person being distracted or caught off
Okay, in that
guard.
regard, Kelly is actually a very warm, friendly...
I have no...
Yeah, in person, Kelly is a warm, friendly, loving person who I've always enjoyed every conversation I've had with her.
I'm sure in person, if we were to debate or talk, me and Kelly would agree to disagree, because I can already tell that we're very adamant and very strong-willed people. I have no doubt she's a very tenacious, determined woman. I think that I probably have a lot of similarities. Not that I want to spend the whole time talking about Kelly right now, but I mean, we've both lost our loved ones. We both care deeply about certain things in this world and in this city. Like I said, I won't take away for how she dives into things. And to get back to what your point is, I agree with you in that sense. I think that I think technology has changed the way we think and live and treat each other.
Yes.
How many I saw somebody that liked one of my posts yesterday on one of my business channels. So I clicked on it and he said, "Do not ask me to be your friend." I clicked on the profile, checked the person out. Somebody lives in Medicine Hat, business owner. But they clicked, "Don't add me as a friend if you've never met me in real life." Jeremy, you have something like 7,000 followers on your feed. How many of those people do you know? How many people of those people do you actually know face to face?
A few hundred.
Right. So, to kind of cap this and then maybe go into the next thing that connects all this, I think what I'm trying to say to you is, yeah, I think that's actually what your problem is. You're saying the people that are yelling and screaming on social media using a keyboard and hiding are fake. They won't meet you in person. You know why they won't meet you in person? They're afraid to stand up to that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it takes regardless of what any of you think about politicians or me when I was a politician, maybe at my core I still am, I don't know. But politicians have a quality that a lot of you on Facebook do not. So sit there and criticize them, badger them, belittle them, and in the end, they generally have the ability to stand there with a TV camera stuck in their face and say on a mic what they say online. And you better damn well respect that.
That's because they're damn great actors.
Because, you know what? Then I guess everybody should be a better actor, because I respect that quality from politicians.
I don't want to dive into this, but it triggered me a little bit. I'll give you that politicians are different, that they're wired different.
Yeah, like me, I guess.
Thick skin. Way. That's what I like about you, and that's why I want to kind of dive in. But I'm going to take a shot here. Explain to me how Justin Wright didn't get a vote for councilman, but boy, he reads a great script and can smile next to Daniel Smith. I don't even know if he won. Should I admit that? Did he win?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
Well, he won
by default, didn't he? Everybody else quit or gave up?
No.
Okay, I don't know.
Don't take that from him. He worked very hard, but
he worked very hard. So how come he wasn't elected as councillor?
Well, okay.
We think he can run the province.
First of all, you're talking municipal, and then you're talking party politics, and
that's what I'm saying.
And even though not to take away from Justin's victory, he worked very hard.
Justin wouldn't have won without being attached to the PC label and given a bunch of scripts.
If Justin had a liberal title slapped above his head, he would have absolutely lost, regardless of
what amazing
person.
That's my point.
Absolutely.
Okay, if he was so amazing, how come he didn't do very well as a councillor? Like, he didn't get votes. He didn't make the placings.
I don't know.
I think you got more votes than he did.
Yeah, it's 1,700 and something.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a legitimate question. I don't know.
You triggered me bringing in politics.
Yeah, I mean, I really can't answer that question. So
this is what I do like about you. I would have tried to answer and maybe I come off as an ass or arrogant or whatever. But okay.
But you could go either way on it. Just because he may not have been absolutely 100% qualified also does not mean he's unqualified.
Yes, it does. He can't get to. I'm sorry. Let's skip on this. We can talk about this in the next trigger because I'm going to lead into what else we wanted to talk about while we got time today. Yeah, we should talk about politics a little because it boggles my mind that the guy couldn't do anything as a city councillor. Nobody cared. He's a business owner. I've heard good and bad things about him, and I don't want to turn the podcast into him again. So, Jeremy, let's skip into this because I brought it all this way. Like I said, you've actually helped me. It's not that you're saying you shouldn't care about things. You're saying pick your battles and fight the right way. Yelling and screaming isn't doing anything.
Yeah, fight the right way and
be true to yourself.
And don't fight everything.
I know how I can kind of end this. There's a meme by Mike Tyson. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's so true. It's been floating around for about 10 years since social media got really bad. It says social media has forgot what happens when you forgot that you'd get punched in the face for saying it to a person in real life.
Mm-hmm. That's very
that meme. I can't remember the exact words, but he's basically saying is you wouldn't say the things that you say to a person on social media to their face because you get punched.
They're like my 6-pound dog. Seriously, that's what I think of you guys. Yeah, that's what you know what I mean. I don't care at this point if I'm offending you. Sorry, the old Jeremy's a little bit dead, so if you don't like it, screw you. But I probably
Why
should
do
have
you
had
say
this
the-
opinion. I should have had this politician when I ran for council. I probably would have got more votes if I told some people to F off. But, especially one
Do you think you're a people pleaser?
counselor in particular.
Do you
Well,
think
I sure. Yes.
you
At my
say
core, I'm a people pleaser. I'm definitely a lot less of a people pleaser now. I think if I ran for council now, people would get a very dirty taste in their mouth.
Because you'd say some things that you were
Oh,
afraid to
because
say
I would
before.
just blurt out exactly what I'm thinking and not filter my speech.
Perfect to ask you the next question. I've already kind of hinted at it. So tell me why you think it's okay to lie.
I think small white lies when, first of all, I have some very specific criteria. When somebody asks you a question that they have no right to ask, you are not required to give them the truth.
What kind of question would that be?
Personal question, when somebody did something, say on the weekend, and did something with people, and then you come in from a perspective of, I want to know what this person did, when you are not in a position where you should be asking the question to begin with. That person lies to you,
don't like
even though when
gossip?
you know the truth.
You
It's
don't- you
it
don't
still
like
hurts.
gossip. That's what that is.
Yeah,
I'd say that's gossip.
yeah, but I don't feel that a person. Sorry. I don't feel that a person should have to be truthful with you when you have no right to ask the question you're asking to begin with. And when you are running for public office, that does not apply, by the way. So I'm not looking for an excuse to justify politicians that lie, because you are running for a public office, and you should you accept the fact that you are running to be a public servant and that your life is now public. So you should have, you're entitled to a private life to a certain extent.
You know who
But
li-
everything you do when you run for public office, you have no right to say what I just said, including me when I ran for office.
Do you know who lies every day?
Who?
Salespeople.
Yeah?
They don't just, and I'm going to explain that. I am learning so much because I say to him what I want to talk about. He lets me lead, so to speak. You raise your voice when you want to talk. I've noticed that. You shut me right up, which is good. That's perfect. I had an argument one day with a salesperson I worked with. She was a Jehovah's Witness. And she, like many Jehovah's I meet, was adamant that they never lie. They never tell lies. Ever.
Keep talking.
Okay. Absolutely adamant. And I used to cause a lot of trouble at work because I would talk about the top 3 things you're not supposed to talk about: religion, sex, or politics. Mainly politics and religion. There's not a lot to talk about sexualize at work, relationships, etc. But on the religious front, I used to argue with this lady all the time because I told her that she lies to her customers. Where I worked, we were in commission sales, and there was a sticker price, and there was a little book that would tell you how low you can go. So if the sticker price was $1,000 and you thought you could get $800 out of the customer, that was your prowess, your skills as a salesperson. Maybe throw in something the customer thinks it's getting free, but it's all part of the cost. But that bottom dollar, if you went below it, you'd lose half your commissions. And I used to hold it against her when customer would say, "Can you give me a better deal?" And she'd say, "No." I used to hold that against her. I'd say, technically, you're lying to your customer because you could. You could go below the margins. You take a hit. But you're lying to that customer when you say you can't give them a better deal. And boy, did she get upset with me. She said, "Jared, I have to eat." So I hugely, when I challenge you with this stuff, the first thing that happens is I ask myself if I'm a hypocrite. Because I was doing the same sales. Now, for me, I would go below that margin to help people. I'm not saying that to be special. That was how I did. I almost never got what we call full pop in sales, because if I could give a person a discount, I would. It was easier to close sales, of course. But I would help people with my ability to discount further. We had a memory foam bed in. $1,200. Could not get rid of this bed. I used to sell mattresses. Couldn't sell this bed for the life of us. Had the floods down here. Gentleman walks up and he's got the check that the government had given everybody. It's $1,200. He practically begged me. There were almost tears in his eyes. He's like, "You know, man, I'm actually getting teary thinking about it. He's like, man, I've been through everything, and this $1,200 is the only thing I got for food and everything from the government, and I'll give it every cent to you. I'll sign it away to you right now for that bed. The bed was $1,350. I'd lose margin. I wouldn't make any money on the sale. The good thing for me is I was getting rid of a bed that was a problem on the floor and helping this person. You've made me question if it's okay to lie. And who's kidding who? I guess white lies are part of life.
Yes.
Where you draw the line, we could debate and argue with each other and everybody out there forever, couldn't we?
You want a really quick 2-second good example that we've all...
No, you're not allowed to talk at all.
Okay. A really good example is you're having an absolutely horrible day, and you're walking down the street. You feel like hell, and somebody you barely know says, "You doing okay?" And your response is, "Yeah, I'm fine," and walk away. Sorry, you just lied. So, you know what? Little white lies like that are part of life. There isn't a single psychology study you can find that will tell you that that little lies like that are a negative thing. They're a positive thing. Because
Jordan Peterson says any kind of deceit at all is toxic.
Jordan Peterson is not a psychologist. I mean, but I think I'm talking about studies. I mean, I realize there's people's opinions, and in the end, a psychology, I think, is just opinion with a stamp on it. So maybe I'm wrong.
Maybe he means what you're explaining, that it's toxic if it's selfish and manipulative. That's what you're trying to say, isn't it?
If you lie because you are trying to manipulate, if you lie because it is for your own benefit, and it is for something other than taking the other person's feeling into regard.
This is why I say salespeople lie every day.
Yeah.
And I know there's going to be a whole bunch of people hating me for that comment, but it's the truth. You're taught to lie to the customers. And on the flip side, customers lie every day without realizing it too.
But we're taught, psychologists will tell you that we're taught at a very young age. By age 5, we learn that small white lies are completely acceptable in society.
We lie to our children from the day they're born about everything. This is what gets me in trouble.
Is Santa Claus?
Santa Claus, the tooth fairy,
exactly.
Everything.
They're all little white lies.
It's
what keeps our society functioning.
I could make this really complicated because I think this stuff ties in with people that are religious. I've always found it interesting growing up for every religious holiday, there is a non-religious construct to go along with it. Okay, you don't believe Christmas was when Jesus was born, which if you really investigate isn't actually the day he was born, but let's not get into that. Maybe another triggered. But December 25th, okay, you don't believe Jesus was born? No problem. Use your imagination and believe in Santa Claus until your parents or other friends decide to burst that bubble. Yeah. I don't know how old you have to be before your parents stop putting $1 or a 5 or a 20 under the pillow for a tooth.
Generally, it's around the age 7 or 8 where they start to question things like that. It doesn't take very long.
So what does a parent, like, I don't even remember what I said to my parents. I mean, I just realized that it was, as growing up, I started to realize my parents were the ones buying stuff, hiding them, and then telling them, like, it was very interesting to see what was from Santa. Mm-hmm. Back to the salesman lying, though. Those are, some are called scare tactics. Oh, it's the last one in stock. All of these little things.
Okay.
No, go ahead.
Scare tactics. That's something else that I generally will get very, very argumentative with online. I'll use a thread I saw this weekend as an example. Sorry to change the subject.
No, we're all over. This is awesome.
So the picture I could show you, but was a bunch of what I'm assuming German children from World War II hanging out of the window of a train, flying little Nazi flags around, swastika, for anybody who does not know what a Nazi flag is, which was the flag of the Socialist Party, the Nazi Party of Germany at the time. Okay, it did not mean murder or anything like that. It was just a political flag at the time. And until World War II broke out. Then it had a different meaning. And then underneath that picture, there was a bunch of children flying pride flags around and looking all cheerful and happy in a classroom. And somebody was comparing the two to each other. And I thought, this is fucking bullshit. First of all, the comparison was absolutely disgusting. They're on the thread. They were screaming about the government using scare tactics and manipulating and grooming our children. And I'm sitting there looking at this picture thinking, I'm sorry, who's using scare tactics? because when you compare a bunch of children in a classroom waving pride flags around to the beginning of the Nazi Party, which murdered 6 million Jews.
How old were these children
and
again?
Tens of millions of other people. They were maybe 5, 6 years old.
Neither. The picture should have been taken.
Yes, I agree.
It's both.
Yeah, but
That's actually
it was
the point.
One is scare
absolute
tactics.
One is absolute hatred.
Yep.
And it's
people say
sad commentary to actually see it. Right?
People say it's scare tactics, and that the government uses scare tactics and media uses scare tactics. Well, what are you doing when you go online and scream and yell the sky is falling and run around like Chicken Little telling everybody that they need to be on guard, they need to fight back, they need to do this and fight the government because the government's using scare tactics? You're two sides of the same coin. And the scariest part is you don't realize it. So you can justify your behavior and say that you are fighting a just cause and you are the one who is right, but so can the government. So good for you.
I'm trying to, in my head, bring all this together. We live in a world where we lie. You're saying the line is whether the lie is manipulative and selfish intent.
Yes.
Or if it's consideration of a person's feelings. I get it. Your little kid makes you breakfast. You don't tell them it's horrible.
Yep.
Okay, I get it.
Exactly.
My stiff, triggered brain says, well, just don't say anything at all. And life doesn't. You're making me find gray area. There's a lot of life that's gray, but, and this is my rebuke to you here. Obviously, little children being taught or indoctrinated anything to do with Nazis and hate is wrong. Not even just children. The fact that we still have some very troubled individuals with low self-esteem that belong to these groups of hate that feel as though the only way to get heard is to scream and yell. I think if you broke, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think if you got into these groups deeply and you got some of these people segregated, you would find out it's like gang mentality.
Yes.
They just want somewhere to belong. They're not truly hateful people. I'd like to believe that.
Do you know, you can draw a, let's use a lot of the mass shootings in the U.S. As a good example.
Boy, you like to trigger me.
Yeah. There you can draw almost something I've done a lot of research into because I'm not a gun guy. Don't want to take everybody's guns away. Don't want to take your rights away. I'm actually, I know the gentleman who owns the local gun store. I've known him for years, and him and I have spoken about it. It has nothing to. I even though I say take the Americans' guns away, and I do say that because, first of all, to all the Americans, you're not responsible enough to own guns. Sorry, not sorry. You're just not responsible enough to own guns.
Freedom is freedom, Jeremy. Right to bear arms.
Yeah, and I'm a libertarian, and I'm not saying take their guns away. And people are saying it's not part of the problem.
It's not. And guns don't shoot the
first of all,
guns don't pull the trigger.
Yeah, no, I am to a certain extent.
No, not to a certain extent. Boy, you switched the topic here real quick, but no. Sorry, Jeremy. This one's black and white. You can't take away people's guns. Doesn't fucking matter.
Well, if they're not responsible enough,
doesn't
to
matter.
Use the gun,
That's the world we live in. People aren't responsible with alcohol. We lose people to drinking and driving every freaking day.
Anyway, I mean, this besides my point.
Okay.
But my point is, you can draw almost a straight line from all of the mass shootings and all of the people who commit these atrocities to fatherless homes.
Oh, that's a
really
that's just
interesting.
Okay, boy, you complicate things.
Yeah.
I mean,
No, I have a very complicated
That's
mind.
the top of the list, though. That's the breaking down of the nuclear family, the traditional role where there's a father in the home. And quite honestly, I'm going to bring it back here. That's what's wrong with the trans agenda right now. You know, you say our schools don't lie to us, but they are. You say that our government isn't always lying to us and that our politicians have huge responsibilities. They're not doing what we ask. That's why I have such an apathy for our political system. I believe it's corrupt. Yes, I'm a conspiracy theorist. I believe these people are picked and chosen. That's how Justin Wright got in there. He was a candidate. He put his hand up, willing to go and read the scripts. And I'm going to say, and he can rebuke me. Come on. That's the point of this. Justin, I'd love to sit down with you and do it triggered. I would love to, because you could explain yourself. I think politics that level, you're given a script, and if you don't read it, you don't follow along, you're not accepted. Because you can't just go on as a party politician and speak your mind. You're not allowed. That's why you went with the PCs and they gave you the script. Because if you said, I'm not going to read this, I want to talk about this, they'd say, sorry, Justin, but that's not what the party's all about. So bringing this to schools.
I can think of a local politician who went through that and paid the price.
Well, there you go. See, so you're kind of saying, yeah, yes. Jared, there's certain truths to what you're saying. I'm not denying the pride movement, not denying the trans people exist. Like I said, I'm very familiar with the world. But it's not for children in our schools. It's just not. And you agree with me. I don't want to start the whole argument. So here's what I think I've learned out of everything we've just talked about. And I love you for it because, like I said, I'm truly listening to everything you say, and it's sinking in, and I question my own self. If I follow you, you're saying you got to pick your battles in life. They should be based on your morals and values.
Yep. Don't fight everything, because when the real battles come along, you won't have any strength left. Yeah.
See, you just triggered me. So what does a guy like me decide to fight for? I don't have children, but I see the harm that's being done. Like I said, one of my friends has moved their children to another school. I know several people who are homeschooling. The teachers and the government agenda happening right now is wrong.
But that's how they fight. They homeschool their child. They find a school that suits their ideals more. I personally think it segregates our society, which I don't exactly approve of. But at the same time, you know, I highly doubt there's a lot of the Catholic schools that are flying the pride flag.
Oh, I hear it's everywhere.
I mean, maybe it's
it is everywhere. You know why?
But
because the churches, and boy, we're diving into all these things where we will trigger people. I don't understand even why a church needs to paint their steps. I don't know why we need a pride pedestrian walk sprayed on our streets. I don't know why it needs to be so public. And ironically, we're changing subjects a little bit here, but ironically, how come heterosexual isn't included? Why doesn't it start LGBTQ plus spirit? I don't want to insult anybody.
Because
I don't even know how many letters there are anymore.
I have an answer.
I don't know what the plus is.
But I have an answer. Why aren't they included? Or maybe they are in that acronym.
They're not.
Actually, I think the S might stand for straight or something like that. I could be wrong.
S is spirit.
But because
I guess we'll find out, won't we? I mean,
because as the majority, you are by definition not a minority. That's why. It's the same thing. We
don't need a majority of people flashing their sexual lifestyle in front of us. This is why we go to bars. This is why we have bedrooms, strip clubs, you name it.
That's not my point.
But that is the point.
But my point is that if the majority of the world identified as LGBTQ+,
We'd need straight parades.
then we would have straight parades.
How about we don't?
I
how
absolutely.
How about we're all equal and we don't worry about teaching our children anything sexual until around ages 10, 11, and then.
But I think that's what the majority are trying to do. It's the few extreme parts of our society that are not, and you're gonna get extremists in every segment, whether you're straight, whether you're LGBTQ plus, whether you're African, whether you're Chinese, whether you're Canadian. There's going to be a percentage of every population that is extreme, including in the LGBTQ plus, and we're only listening to the extreme people.
But we're listening to the extreme people because it's about children, and part of me is.
But you can't only focus on the worst segment of any group in society and blanket statement everybody.
You shouldn't focus that there's pride parades for 5-year-olds and they're being indoctrinated to go. Like, we're talking about the subject.
You could focus on that one incident and look into that one incident and stuff. But
you're confusing me.
We're speaking in blanket statements, and that's what bothers me.
But, okay, we're back to the black and white. And I'll segue with the lying. There's great. So back. You said he was doing it right, but it sounds like you're contradicting yourself here. Billboard Chris, should he be out there?
Should he be out there?
Yeah,
fighting for this movement?
Yeah,
that he believes in.
Yeah,
I don't see a problem with that. He's doing it the right way.
Should I? Should I stop caring? Should I stop talking about this with people?
No, absolutely not.
Then
I'm talking about it with you, and I agree with a lot of the, transgender therapy in children under 18. No, not going to be acceptable to me. I said that during the campaign. I was asked black and white and for flat out, and I draw the line is you don't
have nothing against 5-year-olds being in a pride parade.
No, because I don't connect the dots there. I think that we are reactive as a society. And part of the human condition is to take 10, 20, 30% of the information that we have and then reconstruct the other 70% from our imagination and our fear of the worst case scenario. And by the way, if I ever run for public office again, you can use this against me. Don't care, but this is the reason why government lies to you. And this is the reason government lies to you.
You know, it's really funny.
Is because a good majority of the general public take 10% of the information, do not let the government fully explain themselves, do not let the government show you their vision, their outcome. By the time they have gotten to that point, you're already screaming for their head. They lie to you because you act like Chicken Little and you run around screaming the sky's falling.
Give me an example of the government lying to me.
You want a good example? How about a local one?
Any example.
Yeah, we were going to talking about selling our utilities a few years back. You remember that?
They did get sold, didn't they?
No.
Okay.
No.
Didn't all the gas wells around town get sold off, though?
Yes,
and there's a huge controversy over that. Somebody from the World Economic Forum is related to that. And... we ended up getting stuck. Not only did we sell them off and lose money, we ended up getting stuck with cleaning them before possession was given.
Probably a very bad decision at the current price of oil and gas.
Okay, so how did the government lie to us about the utilities?
Okay, first of all, the government didn't necessarily lie initially. They tried to be honest with you. I was privy to a lot of that information from City Council, and Jim Turner was one of the people who. I God rest his soul, whatever that expression means from a non-religious person. But I never used to like Jim. During the city council election for about a year when I had interactions with him, I actually developed a lot of respect for him because even though he was a little bit extreme, he was a very intelligent man who was armed with a lot of information and made educated decisions and had the ability to say, oh, I'm wrong. Something more than a lot of you can do. So the utilities being sold, there was, I think, a Facebook post that said Medicine Hat is considering selling utilities. I believe it was distribution or production. I believe it was production, pardon me. I could be getting my facts wrong here. It was so long ago, and there's so much has happened to me since. But anyway, my point is that people were completely and utterly reactive. City Council eventually backed off from the decision. And almost 99% of the people I saw reacting online had no idea what the hell you were talking about. None. You didn't know what you were talking about. You didn't get the facts. You didn't do your homework.
I like when you get triggered.
Yeah, well, I am triggered because that's why government lies to you, because you act like children. Because you can't handle the truth, because you run around and scream and yell with 10% of the information. So the government basically says, well, don't tell them. Don't tell them. Yeah, don't tell them this, because they're going to freak out and they're not going to hear everything. And they're going to look for our heads, because we're actually, we have a really big picture of what this beautiful thing can be. And the moment we even tell people, they're going to squash it. They're going to freak out. They're going to yell. They're going to react. That's why the government lies to you. Stop acting like Chicken Little. Be responsible enough of an adult to sit down and listen to all of the facts and make a reasonable comeback, other than, oh, the government's doing it again. They're lying to us. They're liberals. And then maybe they'll be more honest.
It doesn't matter who they are. They all lie.
Well, you know what? They lie because people are reactive.
Well, okay.
If people were more reasonable, then they wouldn't lie as much. That's my opinion.
Ironically, I don't know if it's that the government lies to us or they just don't tell us the whole truth. But you know what? It's really funny, because I'm going to take a page out of your book and try to wrap this up. If I understand what you're saying correctly through all of this, is what guides you is picking your battles for what means most to you, for what's happening.
Yes.
And if you pick a battle and I'm going to guess that when you do pick a battle, you're willing to die on that mountain. That's why you've chosen it, and you will put your passion behind it. And your battles are in your mind for what's right. I'm gonna clarify. There's a saying out there that if you're arguing, you're trying to be right. If you're talking or discussing, you're trying to figure out what's right. I get it. I want to be right complex. I know that 100%, and I think there's some things in life that you have to choose to die for. Being a widower makes me question everything in life. It makes me question myself, where the world's going, why I'm going through this, why I'm still here without my wife, what my purpose is. And I don't like the apathy for life that I'm getting back, and it's because I look at all these world issues and conspiracy theories and misinformation and truth and justice and all of these different things, and sometimes it feels like we're so busy fighting each other that the government can do whatever the heck they want. And I'm taking a page out of your book in the sense that I'm seriously debating running as well, politics. Said it the last podcast. Not even to win. Winning would be great. I just want to point out where I think our system is broken. And it gets complicated because, like I said, we're governed from the top down, and I think governing should be local communities, ground up. But my goodness, we'd all have to come together and put some of these arguments away and decide that we want to change, and we don't want our government to lie to us. I honestly believe they have to. I get what you're saying. I get,
because if it's a liberal choice, the conservative movement screams and yells and everything's bad and squashes it.
Some people would
the
say
other way around too.
Some people would say 90% of the population.
Doesn't make any sense.
90% of the population could be sheeps, depending on how you talk to it. Sheep mentality.
Yes.
And I know you hate that word.
No, well,
but in this context, some of those sheep are the people you're actually talking about, though, that they're not yelling or screaming at all because they're so freaking happy living whatever life.
The majority of people are followers by definition, and psychology proves it over and over and over again. So does the history of the world, that people are looking for a leader to follow, and once in a while, somebody named Adolf comes along, and he's not the right guy you want to follow. Sometimes that does happen, yes.
He was family and he was picked, right?
You know what? I'm not going to get into that. But my point is that, yes, sometimes, and this is something I've said in the past, is I've always had the ability to lead people. At least in the past. I don't know if I have that ability anymore. Maybe I have it more now than ever because I'm willing to tell people to fuck off. I don't know. But, this is a sort of a new person that has cropped up over the last year, the one who doesn't give a shit as much. But if you have the ability to lead, it's a very dangerous quality to have. because you have the ability to lead people off of a cliff. And sometimes there needs to be somebody there to stop those people from leading a group of people off the cliff. I get it. It happens. My line is different than yours. You know, I would encourage everybody to understand that there isn't always a right and wrong. There's just your opinion and your perspective of the world. And I hope that we as a society can get to a place where we can stop saying the other person's wrong and start saying,
I want the truth, damn it. You can't handle the truth.
But, you know, I hope we can get to a place in our society where we can stop saying the other person is wrong and start saying, can you please explain to me why you feel that you are correct and why I am wrong, and get all the information.
That's the heart of that saying, you know, like, are we arguing to be right, or are we conversing to figure out what's right?
Yeah.
Let's wrap this up. I can I'll do my best here to put it all together if I understand everything that we've talked about here. You believe that the government's not always lying to us, but they are telling us things that they're manipulating the situation for the greater good. I don't know how else to word it.
Oh, well, the greater good from their perspective.
Well, where I was going with that is, as long as we continue to support the system and we don't hold our leaders accountable by speaking up in the right channels, we won't get change.
That's right.
The trans issue, Pride in Schools, is not going away, obviously, because we talked about it in the last podcast. There's lots of reactions. You can't, I'm pretty sure most of us can't scroll through our feeds right now or check out YouTube without seeing some video from somewhere. And maybe it's my algorithms, like I said, because I do watch this stuff, but all I'm seeing is parent.
I mean, I have a perfect example. A lot of the U.S. states have swung completely right on this subject.
That's what's happening right now. That's exactly what I'm saying.
And
every second video I watch is a parent. My favorite one, there's a preacher, and he starts reading a book meant for 3 to 5 year olds, 3 to 5 or 5 to 7, and it's in the school library, and he starts reading it. It teaches them how to have sex. It does. It teaches them how to have sex, and he's reading it, and they're trying to stop him. They're like, sir, you can stop. And he literally looks at the camera. He goes, oh, is it something I've said? I'm sorry. Did I offend you? I can't read this in a room full of adults, but the 5-year-old child can pull it off the library. So without getting all right in, I get what you're saying. In fact, you started the last podcast with saying the reason you wanted to start with that topic is because I think you used the word percolating.
Yeah, it's getting bigger, not the other way around. Yes.
Okay, so
complaining about the government's been consistent for 2,000 years. Sorry if you think you're original.
Right. Okay, so
but the LGBTQ plus thing is definitely very new. Yes.
And I'd love to hear whether I'm right or wrong about that from anybody that wishes to comment or come on and speak with us about, you know, heterosexual being one of those letters. I'm pretty sure none of it is straight. This is terrible, but I saw a kid on TikTok. He was talking about it, and he says, I understand the letters, but now they've added this plus symbol to the end. Does that mean you're gay premium? I think that's funny. The kid was not being...
If I'm not mistaken, I think the plus statement, the way it was explained to me, is that the plus stands for anybody who wants to be part of our united community, including straight people. That was my understanding. That was the way it was explained.
Plus, straight people don't need a...
Actually, I think it was their way of saying that we don't want to be segregated. We want everybody to be part of the society. But, you know, I don't actually agree with it.
I still believe this is a government construct. I believe that if you were to dive deep... do your research, connect the dots. You will. I mean, in fact, I saw a video the other day. This one lady said she's paid directly from Trudeau. She was at one of these Pride protesting things. She said the Canadian government pays her to be there, and that's what I believe. Just like the hockey riot in Vancouver back how many years ago? 5-10. They proved it was started. It was proved. They tracked the guy down. And he confessed that he was the one to start the rioting. It starts somewhere with mob mentality. So what we're saying
still doesn't absolve all the people who followed him.
Oh, absolutely not. So back to the trans thing.
Blame the actors all you like. You still picked up a rock.
My point is some of this is indeed scripted and controlled. And back to our point. You're trying to say scream and yell, but do it the right way.
Yes.
Or no, don't scream and yell. Go to the proper channels, stay calm, talk to each other. That's kind of actually the screaming and yelling should stop is what you're saying.
That's why a lot of the US states,
it finally clicked to me. You're like anybody can pick up their phone, rant and rave.
Please don't spill that. Sorry, I know that's recording, but thank you. I mean, that's what's happening in a lot of the U.S. states. They've, after all the screaming and yelling is done, people cast their votes for people who believed in their ideals, and those states elected officials who put in laws that match their ideals because the majority rules.
Plain and simple, if you don't like the politicians that you see, run. Get involved, go for it. That's why I'm actually thinking about it.
Don't complain.
I might call
when
out
you're not involved in the process.
I might call out somebody like Justin Wright or other politicians, but I'm more than willing to sit down and hear them out and have them debate me so that we can talk about what's right or wrong. But ultimately, the point I'm trying to make here is you're trying to say, pick your battle and fight it the right way if you truly want change. Yeah, everybody else is just a distraction.
It's okay to complain about Justin Wright or any other politician. What's not okay is to go up there and scream and yell that he, and start saying, well, he's a bastard. He's going to burn down society. He's part of the problem because he's done this and he's a stinking food truck owner, blah, 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 blah. That's not okay. Not okay. You're a child. Don't do it. Get involved in the system. Do it the right way. If you want to be one of the keyboard warriors, then expect nobody to take you seriously, because nobody does, except for the other keyboard warriors. You're not part of the solution. You're part of the problem.
I think you're right. And I don't take it so personally because I am that person that you're talking about. It takes me a lot, but I'm totally willing to admit when I'm wrong about something. And by saying it takes me a lot, once I know I'm wrong. If it's a matter of the heart, that's why we talk about some of this stuff. That's why I'm so adamant about the lying. In fact, this is how I'm going to end it. I've got past that haunts me. Indiscretions in my marriage, and that's something I confessed before my wife died, but it still haunts me to this day, and that's why I take the approach to lying being so wrong, especially in relationships. If you love somebody, and I don't care what gender they are or how they identify, but if you love somebody, you shouldn't lie to them. Ever.
For the record, even when I can justify when people lie to me, it still hurts like hell.
Well, that's where I've always, why I've had the debate with you, because when I talk about lying, I'm talking about the manipulative deceit, selfishness, whether it's with your partner in life, whether it's with a friend. If there's selfish motives involved and you're manipulating people, I understand. And that's why I brought in the whole sales thing. Salespeople, whether they want to admit it or not, they lie all day. They little things. They are white lies. They're not hurting anybody, but they're in an effort to close the sale. And it becomes a mentality. And on the flip side, customers lie all the time too. Customers hear what they want to hear with some of this stuff. So, Jeremy, we could babble on and on. We're kind of we're recycling, but basically what I've learned from you today here: always be kind. Pick your battles.
Don't be reactive.
Too bad. We wouldn't be here if I wasn't reactive. But I have no idea where we're going to go from here for the next Triggered. Do you?
No, actually, yeah. How would we like to discuss online dating? There we go. Let's talk about that next Triggered.
Wow. Wow. I've even given up on that.
That's my pet peeve.
You want to talk about lying?
Yeah, I made a post we can discuss about why
No, that we better clear a good hour and a half for that, because my goodness. Okay, so thank you for watching. We've been all over the board again here today, but I think we really clarified, because I don't think the topics are going away anytime soon, and we can revisit and I honestly don't even have anything to say other than I'm looking forward to being at the Strongtown meeting. I can bring that up in the next Triggered, and we can talk about online dating. Pick your battles, folks. Don't be a keyboard warrior. There are the right ways and the wrong ways to do things in life.
Yeah. And ask questions.
My favorite one, actually.
Ask questions, really. Ask questions, and don't scream and yell and look for the answer that you've already decided in your head.
I think the meme
just keeps you ignorant.
The meme really does sum it up. It's actually why we're here. We are not here to be right. We are here to talk about what is right. And we're all still going to disagree with that. And sometimes what is right isn't always possible right away. But that's why you pick your battles.
You know, what we should discuss on the next Triggered as well is actually the utilities.
I don't know. How do we mix utilities with online dating?
Oh, with two different subjects.
Did you get a spark? Did you feel anything?
Hey, you know, anybody... No.
Does anybody still online date? Do they exist? I know Plenty of Fish here is the most popular. They call it Plenty of Fuckers, but and I've seen on Facebook that there's these pages that are starting up that says, "Are we dating the same woman or are we dating the same man?"
Interesting.
Okay, we've you know what? We've fed the feed. We will talk about online dating next, and when we come back for the Strongtown meeting, we can tie in utilities and politics
utilities
again.
would be something good to talk about, especially with the 2030 federal carbon mandates coming. You guys better hope the Liberal government gets voted out, or else the city's fucked, by the way, because they didn't sell the utilities because you were too reactive. So something to talk about next time.
You made me want to talk about it right now.
Well, like we can't.
Didn't even think. I know we're out
to be
of time.
honest, it's been so long. I don't have all the facts straight in my head anymore, but I know that the city's in trouble in about
Are you talking? Okay,
8-9 years.
are you talking about the mandates which are planned laws
Yeah, the
banning
federal,
us from owning a gas-powered vehicle?
Well, I'm talking about federal carbon mandates going to come in 2030, which is, from my understanding, we have to upgrade our power plant with money this city does not have to upgrade the power plant with to meet our federal carbon mandate, which is why the city was trying desperately to sell it so that we didn't basically produce electricity in a deficit every day.
Do you think climate change is real? Do you think that we need to be worried about carbon?
I am not educated enough to hold an opinion other than just an opinion.
Think our government is lying to us about it?
I think that they are pushing back against an extremist population that is denying it, and that we
So you believe in
we
climate
need to
change?
find a balance.
You believe in climate change? You think it's
I
real?
believe that if you look at statistical records and read the Farmer's Almanac, our weather is more erratic than it was a decade ago. Yeah.
Okay.
Do I know exactly what the reasons are? Well, I don't know. You got two different sides screaming at each other, and to be honest, I'm deaf in both ears from it.
This dives into conspiracy theory and whatnot.
Yeah, next
Don't
time.
have enough research, but we've just come up with like 5 different podcast subjects.
Yeah, add your comments underneath and tell us what you think we should talk about next time.
Okay, well, I'm not going to lie to you folks. I'm having a lot of fun. We've been all over the place today, but you know what? We do this live. We haven't taken a bunch. We don't stop and say, no, I don't want to say that. I mean, we had an ambulance go through the last time we were doing our podcast.
Yeah, I figured out what it was. It was a button on the floor for a board game.
Oh.
They go, woo, 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 and the
Dogs are
jumped on
outside
it.
today, aren't
I
they?
kicked them out.
Other than Jared almost spilling his water on all the equipment. Here,
My
we-
$1,000 keyboard that this is set up on. Yes.
We really did well. So, yeah, looking forward to the next episode of Triggered. Please comment. Anybody we called out, please, you're more than welcome. That's why we called you out. We want to talk to you. So, I don't know how else to close this out. We've been talking for like 20 minutes longer than we wanted to.
Yeah, I guess I'm Jeremy Silver,
I'm Jared.
and we're Triggered.
We'll see you next video.
See ya.